If we let this run a little bit, it brings people to the show.
Is that right?
Supposedly. It's what everybody does. It's what all the big kids are doing.
No. What do you got going?
I just haven't shaved for a couple of days.
For a day?
2 days.
You're part Italian?
Maybe 3 days.
The Wade and Carter Show. Oh, yeah, baby.
Happy New Year. We'll talk horns. We'll talk Aggies, Cowboys. We're in the midst of a bloodless clue. The narrative is shifting. Amen and a women. All that coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
A bloodless clue.
Bloodless coup, I said. Did I say clue?
You're beautiful. It's Monday.
At least I got everything working.
Sweet Caroline.
You did have that.
You're the king.
You look nothing like him.
Yeah. Oh, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Happy New Year. Yada, 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 2021.
Yeah.
Still feels like 2020.
Especially as it ever was.
But let's do this. Let's start the new year outright.
Folks, just like for the last 50 years, Deerland Feed has been there as they are this morning. 45 degrees in Victoria, foggy, heading to a high of 75. The sun's going to come out and burn off these cloudy, foggy things, and we'll have a pretty day. 75 degrees, Bluebird Day. Makes me miss Randy Vivian, a guy who could promote business in Victoria on a day like today. Wonder if we need to start getting somebody in here to just kind of do a Victoria Economic Development Corp update. Haven't heard what we got for our, 400,000 last year that went to them? City of Victoria sends that money over to the VEDC, one way or the other, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Probably a necessary investment. Just want to get an update, because what they do is they meet on Tuesdays, folks, at 7 in the morning. And they all get in the same room. They harumph, 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 harumph. Hey, I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. Bunch of old white men stand around and talk about how it's better than it's ever been. It's never been any better than this.
And some white women.
Couple of white women. But I don't feel like we get much of an update. Nobody writes a column. Nobody comes on the air. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, taxpayer money. Just interesting. I just don't know why we don't have the accountability update. Today's VEDC and you. The City of Victoria created their own website. City of Victoria has their own news outlet now, so they can spin what's going on. They can tell you why it takes a year to fix 500 yards of Crestwood.
Because of the base.
That's it. The base was bad. When that infrastructure's crumbling, and I keep picturing Bill Murray's brother telling me that. Oh, well, Punxsutawney Phil's going to come out, and then it's going to take 6 more months to finish Crestwood. Good morning, Judge Posey. Good morning, Roy
Gutierrez.
Attaboy, you're getting better every day. Christina Wise.
Richard King. Randy Langston. Good morning. Chris Conrad checking in. Rob Moore Knipling. Rena Scherer,
freshly retired Sister Rena.
Although she's still got some stuff she's got to do. So even though retirement is it's there, she's still got some.
You know who's got to pick up his game now is Calvin. I mean,
certainly has to pick up his socks and underwear a little more often.
Calvin, did you bring me that cup of coffee before you left? Yes, and the newspaper, and get the radio tuned to 95.9. I like it.
Folks, give us a call, 361-575-9509 if you want to be part of the show. You're witty.
Yeah, don't call if you're boring, but most of you aren't. No. And I tell you what, it is your show. We mean that. I'd love to have in 21 some more regular callers. You know, I look back over the last couple of years. Brad Miner, fairly regular caller, calls him so good. John Paul Hull calls in regularly with good stuff.
BJ Nelson.
BJ Nelson calls in. BJ comes in a lot of times, as does Callie Frommy, with like community service points that are useful.
Yeah, I don't know where Pete Montana's been lately.
Well, he's in the Pacific Northwest.
And he's also doing a morning show, so I can't expect him to get up at
it's winter
4 o'clock
on his island.
Lisa Poole, good morning. David Glass checking in. BJ Nelson, Terry Murray, Stephen Kidder,
hey, hi, Steve.
Bobby Leister, Matt Boucher, Patrick Strauss. Look at the Leisterometer.
Hi, Patrick. 691 YouTubers. Don't think for a minute. We're going to have 1,000. There's Commissioner Clint Ives.
Sheriff Lauterbach, good morning to you. CW Bean, Brad Miner.
Brad?
I'm going to get to something CW posted. If not today, this week, because I thought it was somewhat
yourself. I mean,
I know.
I'm topical show.
There's so much that, we could blow through it all, but I don't know that we would give it all the due diligence it all deserves.
I listen to some of these guys that do 3 and 4 hour shows, and they repeat. They're doing a long show. It's a 3-hour show. Guys that do a long show, they keep telling you the same thing over and over and over. We have listeners that listen quick. And you listen quick, and then you're on top of things.
Well, that's old school radio, and I'll tell you why. Because back in the day, when people listened to radio, they listened to it. Even though the radio was on, they weren't always paying attention, so you had to repeat things that way the information got out there. That was the nature of radio listening back in the day.
It's what makes me aware of the brilliance, the greatness, no matter what you think of his content, of Rush Limbaugh. That guy can sit there every day. He talks about the golden microphone of the EIB network. He made all that up.
Yeah.
The Excellence in Broadcast Network, it's just him. He talks about his formerly nicotine-stained hands, which, folks, it is a direct correlation to the fact that he's got stage 4 lung cancer. He was a chain smoker for decades.
Most in radio work, to be honest, and newspaper.
Right. And you just find yourself going,
And the TV guys, because when they were off camera.
Oh, because it helped with the voice.
Anita Scroggins checking in. Karen Webb, Brad Miner, good morning. Should we start with this? Because this one was Congress got sworn in yesterday. Nancy Pelosi back in as Speaker of the House. Closer vote than I think many expected.
So what does that tell you? What that means? Was somebody else running for that seat?
The minority leader. What's it, Kevin McCarthy? McCarthy? Is that his name? I can't think of it.
Paul McCartney?
Yeah. But listen to this. This was the end of the.
Well, set the stage here. They had a prayer, but believe it or not, they actually had a prayer.
Emmanuel Cleaver, who I believe is a representative from Missouri, gave the prayer.
Reverend from the United Methodist Church.
Peace in our families, peace across this land, and dare I ask, O Lord, peace even in this chamber, now and evermore. We ask it in the name of the monotheistic God, Brahma, and God known by many names, by many different faiths. Amen and a woman.
This guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot, folks.
Yeah.
I'll just give you the close enough. This guy's an idiot. Guy calls himself a United Methodist Church minister, thinks he's being witty. Amen and a woman. Like, we're going to give equal time to the women.
And I don't know if he got caught up in Congress's new rules that they're going to vote on this week, or I don't know if they voted on them yesterday to try to, no more gender-specific pronouns and all that stuff. And I don't know if he got caught up in this, but he clearly has. All you have to do is go to the old Oxford Dictionary and look up the meaning of the word amen, and it has nothing to do with a gender or sex.
I think it's along the lines of "so shall it be." Let it be.
Truth. Hashtag truth.
It's from the Hebrew that means "don't fumble." But what's funny is it's like saying that we're gonna discuss an amendment and a womanment to the Constitution. You just expose that you're ignorant, and he's up there, and it makes what it does is it dumbs down all faith, because it's like, this guy's a fool. It's not cute, it's not funny, it's not witty. You're talking,
and whether he was trying to be, I don't think so.
I think he was just that dumb. Amen means so be it, says Roy
Gutierrez.
Thank you, sir. Yes. There's David Brogger. Good morning, David. It's craziness. But it's the world we live in where it's all about how you feel and how you make others feel. The truth doesn't matter any longer.
Well, as Joe Biden said, we'll accept facts over truth.
Beautiful. Thanks, Joe. This is going to be your president. This is going to be your guy. I keep thinking about Peter McNally. He's all giddy with
a guy over the break who, when asked about Hunter Biden and China, and just completely keeps ignoring the questions.
Yeah.
You know, there is an FBI investigation.
But the FBI, you don't think that they're in the Democrats' pocket or the pocket? You know, come on. The whole thing's a joke. Folks, I'm going to tell you something.
You don't think $1.5 billion to Hunter Biden is going to end up having some influence on U.S.-Chinese relations? You're a moron.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I listened to BJ Nelson sent me a video over the weekend. I listened to a large chunk of it. There's a lot to be said.
You should have listened right to the end. You would have heard a man and a woman.
Right. But there's a lot to be said for the idea that the U.S. has the ability to print all this money because they are the standard that's used in all international transactions. If Russia buys oil from Saudi Arabia, they pay for it in dollars. They don't pay for it in rubles. They pay for it in U.S. dollars. And as long as that's the standard, then the U.S. can get away with printing all this money.
Well, that's why that cargo plane full of Iranian cash that was repatriated under Obama was so important to Iran, because they needed that money to be able to do things.
Yes, and where we're at now is if you can come in and create a different currency, maybe a digital currency that's all, like, for example, I'm just using this as an idea, like the Bitcoin, that's all you use is this online digital currency. People like Amazon take it all over the world. You can see it. It's so efficient. It makes perfect sense, but it cripples our economy. And at the end of the day, when you throw in some things that Ash has been talking about from a conspiracy side of, this
conspiracy.
Well, this $2,000 stimulus is just simply the beginning of the living wage. This is going to happen about once a quarter from now on. And then those of us that have jobs that aren't qualified for the number of people qualified for this stimulus is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And the amount of money going out of your check to fund it is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next thing you know, everybody's going to make $3,000 a month. That's what's going to happen. And we're just going to slowly, it's kind of like if I take a basketball goal pole and I walk around behind you and I talk to you soft enough, long enough, next thing you know, I've got 4 foot of that thing up your butt and you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
True story.
True story.
It's what's going to happen. And nobody's really doing anything about it. And I think that the government's onto it. The government's in it.
And your printing of the money question led me to think about something that C.W. Bean had posted. I think it was him over the weekend about income tax, federal income tax. And is it even needed if the government is simply going to just print money or release cash reserves from the Federal Reserve to fund the stimulus and other infusions of cash into our economy? Because the amount of money that our federal income tax actually brings in is nowhere close to even coming anywhere near.
It won't even pay the interest on the debt any longer. The income tax won't.
No. And now, so why are we even continuing with federal income tax? I mean, the states, I can understand, need a taxing source because they can't just go and print money, which I think would lead to the issues if Texas was to secede as a result of this bloodless coup that's going on. And we'll get to that a little bit later, because that's just ridiculous. But, that to me would probably be one of the bigger sticking points for Texas or any state to try to secede is what currency would you want to use? Because if you're using the U.S.
euro is too unstable. Like you pointed out, there's more Americans than there are people that utilize the euro.
And
It can't
the
be
U.S.
Russian
dollar.
money.
I mean, if
Can't
it's
be
a U.S.
Chinese
dollar,
money.
you can't go print it if you're not the U.S.
Right, unless you're the Shah of Iran. Randy Langston says the SEC is going after all privacy coins and tokens. I did not know the Southeastern Conference was doing that.
Either.
I
thought they were just.
LSU
Yeah,
thing?
I thought they were just trying to win all the bowl games, right?
Right, which they didn't do a very good job of. We'll get to sports in a
Yeah.
minute. Allen's Record Service,
They always do a good
578-6300.
job.
Yeah, they didn't do so good this year. 578-6300, that's Allen's Record Service. That's your go-to tow-to. You need to get towed, they're your go-to. The VCS, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer and our banner sponsor. The Hartman family, let's be realistic. It all starts at the top with Jennifer
It does.
and then Mr. Jim.
It trickles down.
Mr. H, they call him over there. Then JR and Kelly, Hartman Hinkie. Great folks, great services, surround sound, surveillance, security systems. They do so many. It's amazing how many commercial security systems the VCS companies do. Really, it's a numbers game too. You've got to have a lot of them because they're not expensive. You need to reach out to them to secure your business. They can certainly help. Chesapeake Furniture Company, 100 years in downtown Victoria. 70 at their current location. 116 West Wyland, the corner of Wyland and Bridge. I vow ask to reach out this
71
week.
now, right?
I vow to reach out and see what Bobby Leon's promotion is as they go into their second century in business in downtown Victoria. And in commemoration of the Fight Texas Aggies win over,
North Carolina.
although they better be glad they didn't play Carolina's basketball team, the Aggies come in fourth in this round of promotions. JP Hull and the great folks at Razor IT Solutions. They can help you with your analytics. They can help you collect money over the internet. As we go to a digital world where everybody has the mark of the devil on their forehead, you can be ready because Razor IT Solutions will make you scan worthy. Boop, boop, you're in. Oh, you're at HEB? Boop, boop, you're in. Reach out to JP. He can explain everything to you that's going
Got
on.
your
in
COVID
computer.
vaccination?
Boop, boop.
Don't have it? You're not in.
Oh, you don't have your papers? I need your papers. You cannot get on the airplane.
Randy Langston says they're trying to make it a law where if you transfer $3,000 worth of crypto to anyone, they want the name, address, wallet address of anyone of who you sent it to.
Oh, yeah.
My understanding is right now, $3,000 worth of Bitcoin isn't even one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's like a percentage. So, I mean,
It
doesn't make any sense. I mean, why 3,000? I can give you $9,999 and wire transfer it all day long. Not that I have the money, but I don't have
Oh,
to.
he's got the money.
But I don't have to disclose that to anybody. I'm land rich, cash poor.
Right?
I feel like a real Texan,
The King Ranch.
right? But I mean, why the 3,000? That seems like an interesting number. I'll have to look a little
I
bit
heard a
more
guy
into
the
that.
other day
Maybe
that
ask
said-
something. Maybe ask a question for Michael Cloud when he joins the show on Friday.
I heard a guy the other day say, one thing about online school
Yeah.
is the government can listen to every word that is said in the classroom. Every word the teacher says.
They don't obviously. Well, yeah, making sure that they're sticking to the talking points of New World Order and
Hey, man, if you really,
You don't listen to our show, obviously.
really shrug this off, if you really go, nah, they're conspiracy buffs. If you really do that, boy, you really need to be thinking, because they have accelerated the curve. They have realized something about Americans that they didn't know. Americans in general are sheep, and they'll do anything for a buck. Hooker sheep. It's worse than Afghanistan. True story.
Joe Davenport checking in, Chris Ray Brissett, Rico Lerma.
Is that Uncle Rico?
Yes,
Do you know that person?
yes.
Because I like that. Rico Lerma. I
Chris
like that.
Connor says Panama uses U.S. dollars. Texas could develop their own currency.
What would we
Within a
call
few
what would we
years.
call instead of a dollar, what would we call
Texas
it?
dollar.
Yeah, but what would you call it? What would it be? The Jerry.
The Tex.
The Jerry.
I'll just call it the Tex.
100 would be a big Tex.
Yeah, there you go. Bitcoin's at 30,650 right now. Yeah.
I tell you what, I grew up, and I've told you this before. I can remember as a kid listening to my grandfather
The Texan
say,
peso would blast past the U.S. dollar if tied to gold currency, according to Chris Conrad, or the gold standard.
oh, yeah, well, that's, I don't know what my organization skills. I don't know what I did, but I'm following you. I'm liking the way you're thinking. I remember my grandfather saying, "This country's going to heck," I'm telling you. And that was when I was a little guy, and you were in the middle of the Vietnam War, and the economy was terrible, and then we went through the gasoline crisis in like '76,
and the height of the Cold War.
Then,
then
Ronald Reagan tore down that wall, and the next thing you know, things were pretty good. And Bill Clinton ushered in a great time of economic prosperity. And, we go along, and
then the tech bubble crashed.
And then comes 9/11, and we allowed that, and we really kind of tolerated that for a while. And now we've got these little pockets of these Sharia law fools that need to all be exterminated and kicked out of our country. And then you've got all these people that are coming in with, all this other garbage. And I tell you what, our country, it's fine that we're a melting pot, but it's a melting toilet. And I'm telling you.
We were a melting pot to become Americans, and that's no longer.
But we assimilated.
And assimilation is no longer what they want anymore, or what anybody wants anymore. Which leads me to some of the narratives. Watch this week, folks, because it started on the weekend. If you watched any of those idiotic talking head shows yesterday, bloodless coup is how they're starting to refer to the Republican challenges to the election. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Wednesday when the Electoral College finally is all maybe settled. I don't know. We'll see.
You got to figure there's going to be a stink and a lot of moaning and groaning, and then they're going to let Biden be president. When they do, guys like Ted Cruz, Ted Cruz is basically bulletproof politically, so he'll just go back to being Ted Cruz. I did what I could. I did everything I could do.
Filed a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Didn't go anywhere.
Seek Heil, Biden. Seek Heil. That'll be the next deal,
But so that's Facebook shut down the fund of a Republican-backed PAC, maybe a super PAC.
Super duper PAC.
Maybe a super duper PAC.
A warp speed super duper PAC.
That was raising money for the two Republican Senate candidates in Georgia. And then when it was called to their attention, it was, oops, a mistake.
Democrats are going to win those seats. You watch.
One of their bots or algorithms caught it and flagged it. And this never happens to the folks on the left. No. You never hear of Democrat fundraising arms being blocked, shut down on social media because it violated some policy. I'm not sure how. And these things are pretty straightforward. I just click on the ignore and move on past and don't, and do I ever want to see this again? No, whatever. Block these people from getting on my social media, hide this ad forever, or whatever it is, right? But you're asking people to support and fund the election campaigns. I don't see how that can be flagged as a mistake of a scam.
Too political.
Maybe so.
Question for you.
Yeah.
If you're the puppeteer and you're over the deep state, if you will, do you throw a bone to the masses and allow Georgia to keep the two Republican people, or do you just go ahead and take it now and take the Democrats and put them in the office in Georgia? I think there's some logic to let and say, see, look, there's no conspiracy. The Republicans won in Georgia. But then you go ahead and get two senators from D.C. and two more from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I don't. Like I've said, I don't believe Puerto Rico wants statehood. They would have too much oversight.
I don't want taxation. Into
how their dollars are spent.
I think Puerto Rico will be a state during this next presidential term.
I'm not as confident as you on that, but.
I'm kind of scared of it.
I won't be surprised if these seats become Democrat in Georgia. putting it at 50-50. Kamala Harris, the tiebreaker in the Senate.
Could you have
The
one
issue,
each?
well, yeah, I think that might be the most likely outcome, which would put it at what, 51-49. And here's the thing: there's enough rhinos in the Senate like Mitt Romney.
How is that guy still in office? How are even the Mormons putting up with that idiot?
I don't know.
Maybe he's related to most of them.
But there are enough rhinos that'll swing with the Democrats in some votes, and there are a few Democrats that would probably align themselves with Republican efforts in the Senate. So I still see the Senate as basically being a chamber of gridlock.
I agree. When it's 51-49, all you're doing is begging people, don't be the guy that reaches across the aisle. Don't be the guy. Don't Mitt. Do we have Mitt's vote? Gives Mitt a lot of authority.
Oh, he'll yeah. I mean that, and I think Mitt's still chapped he didn't win the presidency, and this is a way of still exacting some influence and gaining notoriety as the junior senator from Utah.
I agree.
I don't know. It just, I mean,
I wonder what a Mitt Romney presidency would have been like. Seriously.
You know, and I voted for him, and kind of seeing his character as it's played out the last, 10 years?
Aren't you glad he didn't get it?
Oh, yeah. Really am. Not that I was happy that Barack Obama got it.
Right.
But, yeah. But watch over the next couple days and up until the swearing in and everything else. It's interesting. I mean, now it's gone, and there was no calls of a bloodless coup when Hillary Clinton didn't go quietly. And
she wasn't even in office.
And the Dems spent 4+ years cooking up charges for an indictment. Don't forget, or for impeachment. Don't forget, the minute Donald Trump won the Republican nomination, the Dems were saying they were going to impeach him if elected. It's the whole reason they spied on him was so that they could get something that they could then back their charges into. It was carefully crafted and coordinated. But CNN and the New York Times and all the PR arms of the Democrat Party and half this country don't see that. And I didn't vote for Donald Trump
the left
first
doesn't
time
see
around.
their hypocrisy. The left is most easily recognized by their hypocrisy, but they don't see it. Well, that's different. That's different. We're coming at this from a moralistic point of view, although morals have nothing to do with it. We don't care about your morals, but that's where we're coming at it from.
And listen to how the narrative, and if you want to see, I mean, and that's just one example. The narrative is starting to shift with COVID as well, folks. Remember, we needed 2 weeks.
Only 2 weeks. We can stop this.
To flatten the curve and get ahead of COVID.
Yeah. People like you just stay home.
Which, I mean, and let's be honest, you and I from the get-go have said, let's protect the most vulnerable.
Right.
And everybody else can get on with life. If you're sick, stay home.
Still agree with that. 100%.
If you're not, you don't have to.
100% agree.
Wear a mask if you want to. Don't if you don't want to.
Or get it. 1,000 people confirmed get it, and less than one dies. Let's get 3,000 people together who all have COVID, and one of them will die.
And the reality is, as they're finding out, spread amongst asymptomatic people is almost non-existent.
Right.
Doesn't happen.
If you don't have symptoms, you're not spreading it, even if you're positive.
You know, and then the CDC quietly towards the end of the year after the election says, you know,
works too,
well, you know, we're going to allow it to happen. And then, you know, the HCQ factory in Taiwan blows up. So now there's a run on it, and the cost will probably go up to people who actually might need it for some other afflictions that they're using it for, like lupus.
And I guarantee you that the explosion at the HCQ plant in Taiwan was somehow tied to the people who are going to make money off of the vaccine. Guarantee it. Remember that Fireworks plant blew
Yeah.
up in Lebanon. Sure, it was fireworks. We called that from day one. I'm telling you, that plant blew up in Taiwan because Pfizer or somebody
Or some Chinese pharmaceutical.
wanted that plant gone.
Yep.
100%.
Second largest producer of it in the world.
Think about that.
And it just blows up, and magically sewer gases kept the fire from being put out in a rather expeditious manner.
That's a lot of methane.
Yeah. There's a lot of methane.
Taiwanese flatulence affects world peace.
But listen to how the narrative is changing with COVID. And I get it's a novel virus, and the virus is going to change. But now they're trying to change your fear. It's no longer the fear of death, because the reality is
Nobody's dying.
unless you're well over the age of 80. I think that if you look most,
Guess who dies anyway? People over the age of 80.
but now they're starting to tell you, well, the side effects, the long-term side effects. This thing's only been around for about a year. We don't really know what a long-term side effect is yet.
Long-term, Ash. You have to think long-term when you're dealing with fear. When you're
Yeah.
trying to herd the masses, you have to talk about long-term things to be scared of.
Randy Langston posted something. We don't have time to get into it today, or at least at this point. But I'll take a look at it. Some traveling nurses talking about Victoria. I don't know what they were talking about.
Just
but, we'll
over
get to
it. And now they're coming in. Oh, we're going to shut down the bars and restaurants again. Really?
Yeah, because the over 80 crowd is just jamming moonshine and Greeks 205 every Friday and Saturday night.
The people that are dying are the ones that are promoting it. I tell you what, I would really, really applaud the mayor, Raleigh McCoy, if he had the chutzpah to say, we will run Victoria. Thank you. Take care. We're going to keep our establishments open. We're going to provide hand sanitizer. We're going to encourage people to social distance, and we're going to go ahead and continue to deal with this mask situation. If you're sick, stay home. If you're susceptible, stay home. You got diabetes, you got a heart problem, stay home. The rest of us are going to go get a cheeseburger. Thank you, and drive safely.
Iceman says where you're hanging out, you can provide all the elderly hot spots.
Right? I mean, I am that guy. Huh? What'd you say? You got a cough? Stay over there.
And I'm not downplaying the fact that it's a virus and it is killing people and it is causing others to have 3 or 4 days of the worst flu they've ever had.
We didn't talk about the flu last year.
And and I'm still dealing almost 7 weeks later with lingering effects of very little taste, and like I'm drinking coffee. It tastes like hot water with a little sugar in it. That's it. I mean, it has no flavor, and I love the flavor of coffee. It's like scotch.
Scotch,
you like
scotch,
coffee or
scotch.
you don't, but can't taste that either right now. And the
Still
smell,
drinking it,
well, just in case, I'm making sure my taste
right.
still isn't there, right?
Doing a taste test.
Yeah, it's the only way. I mean, and the smell still isn't there. So I get it. But you know what? It didn't kill me. And it's not killing the majority of people.
Callie Fromey, our resident Hebrew translator, says chutzpah in South Texas is cojones. We did it with the border crossed us.
Rico Lerma says he got it. His wife tested positive, was asymptomatic. Son, who's 2 months old, tested positive at 1 day old and was asymptomatic as well. And they talked to us about the side effects.
I'm sorry. There's nothing better than Rico Lerma. I mean, you can make
Rico Suave was better than Rico.
Well, you can make Rico in the boat. It's sharply to Lerma across to Gurriel, and the inning is over. Rico Lerma, all-star shortstop. I love that.
Kind of has a resemblance.
Rico Lerma goes back to pass. Lerma the flat to Witten. Touchdown, Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys suck. That'll sum up
Jim Simpson checking in from sunny South Florida.
Hello, Jimmy. Folks, today's a great day to get to Veracruz. Jim Simpson can't go. You should. Go for Jim. Do it for Jim, folks.
Peter McNally, what about the 41-year-old GOP rep from LA? Yeah, there's always what ifs or what abouts or one of those.
Oh,
it happens with the flu too.
Yeah, it's a
but but he had a heart attack.
Yeah. And I
He was undergoing a procedure. I don't know what the procedure was. Then maybe they were trying to intubate him. I don't know all the details, but he had a heart attack at that point. If you're a 41-year-old man and you have a heart attack at that point, that tells me there's probably something going on with your ticker that either they didn't know about or they did know about.
Look, let's say that it was completely tied to the COVID, that it's a tragedy of epic proportions tied to a virus. So what? We don't shut down the economy over it. We don't shut down the whole flipping country over some guy croaking in LA. Now, I'm not trying to be calloused, but who cares? You're not going to go to HEB because some guy in LA died of the COVID?
Louisiana.
Wherever. LA. Who cares?
The other LA.
There's only one LA, and it ain't the Lubbock area. Today's a great day to get to Veracruz, folks. Get in there, get it, eat, get out, okay? It's $10. Go in there, get your plate of hot, steamy Tex-Mex.
In and out under an hour.
You're there.
Yeah.
Get in there and do it. It's just paradise. You can also call ahead and get a enchilada casserole to go. That's an enchilada casserole to go. My apologies. 576-6015.
Or you get enchilada casseroles, plural.
Oh, it's beautiful. Adson Auber dealership since 1926. Quite simply, Victoria's dealership. No getting around it.
No, right now, if you want a Chevy Tahoe or a Suburban,
you better order it.
They've probably got a few on the lot right now, but the other vehicles, because of the slowdowns with COVID and other, I think, ventilator issues, or trying to make other equipment.
1926, folks. Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi. Reach out to them. White Trash Services, 550-1826. BJ Nelson, Scott Nelson, Ricky Nelson, all the Nelsons. They're there. Reach out.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Have a trash-tastic. How's your service going with White Trash, Ash?
Starts this month.
Pretty good.
But the bin was delivered when they said it was going to be. I can only imagine that's just the start of White Trash Services doing what they say they're going to do.
Beautiful. Have a trash-tastic day, folks.
But they'll provide service in 6 counties, including Victoria, Rockport, Fulton, Holiday Beach area as well.
Absolutely. Uncle Mud's Barbecue, open today around 11. Don't push it. Get in there. But they've been open 7 days a week now for another year. They tried to take weekends off, and there was literally too much demand. And Jonathan was going down there and keeping the pit hot all the time anyway, literally.
So, yeah.
So why not throw a brisket on there? Oh, while you're there, his truck would be in the driveway. People drive through. Ding, ding. Can I buy some brisket? Well, might as well. I'm here.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They've been helping Victoria for a long time.
Daily specials. Check them out. Brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey. Oh,
there you go.
I might have to get my barbecue fixed this week.
There you go. You know, back to, and I appreciate Peter McNally bringing up the idea of the guy from Louisiana who's 41, the one-off, okay? The one-off deal. There's a handful of those in the country. You know who was dying in New York? Old people. Do you know who was dancing in the streets on New Year's Eve? Mayor de Blasio. You don't think that he said to his wife, I'm the mayor. Let's go on down to Times Square, and you and I, honey, will be the only ones that watch the ball drop.
Well, except for all the police that were probably there on a security detail.
Elitist government manipulating their opportunities.
Well, there's a big flap in Canada. And again, and a little bit of the hypocrisy is, as the Canadian government was telling people, well, you need to stay home. Our recommendation is no unnecessary travel. Again, that word unnecessary or non-essential.
Yeah. We've
heard that, and it's been conditioned into us to make people believe that they're non-essential. You want to understand why suicides are through the roof as people have been locked down? Because they've been hammered that they're non-essential. Their life is basically worthless in the eyes of the government.
Correct. You know why? Because they work, and that means that they're conservative. And they're conservative means they don't vote for the elitist in the government. So what do you want to do? What you want to do is beat those small businesses down and promote people like Amazon, who the government can control.
Well, and who is also a huge proponent of the Democrats and hates Donald Trump. Bezos and Trump have had a running feud for years.
So at the end of the day, you beat down the moms and pops, but you give them a little supplement money. Come on, here's $2,000 for you chumps. You beat those businesses down. I'm going to tell you that I believe with sincerity, if we just threw every business wide open, the exact same percentage of people who die from COVID would remain the same. In fact, it would actually go down because more young people, more middle-aged people would be out doing what they do, and more of them would actually get the virus. And at the end of the day, we will have all had it, and the same elderly and compromised will pass away.
Well, you want a case study in the U.S., and I've got to dive into it a little bit more, but North Dakota, South Dakota. North Dakota, South Dakota.
Correct.
Not West Dakota, East Dakota. South Dakota, North Dakota, South Dakota. Basically two states with very similar populations. One locked down, one didn't. There's no difference in infection rates, death rates.
No. You see where these fools in Boston decided to take down a statue of Abraham Lincoln?
Well, that was the one that they'd been talking about since, last year where, Abraham Lincoln had...
Where he's like standing over that guy. The guy's like shining his shoe or something.
Yeah, or
literally something like that.
Kneeling at his feet in thanks for freeing him, I think
which by the way is a beautiful sentiment. I mean, the Bible talks about Christ healing people, and then only one person came back and said thanks. It's the same. Now, I'm not trying to paint Abraham Lincoln as a godlike figure, but I guarantee you, to a percentage of the emancipated, he was godlike. He freed the slaves. The idea, it's just a matter of time. They're going to blow up Mount Rushmore. I mean, I guarantee you Roosevelt used the N-word. I guarantee it. You got George Washington was a slave owner. Abe Lincoln apparently is a hypocrite. Who's the fourth one on there?
Roosevelt, Washington, Lincoln.
Jefferson? Jefferson was a slave owner. I don't know who is.
I've never been to Mount Rushmore. I don't know.
Who's the fourth person on that on Mount Rushmore? You got
Teddy.
Right?
Teddy Roosevelt?
Teddy Kennedy?
Yeah.
Is he holding the steering wheel? So you got George Washington, you got Teddy Roosevelt, you got Abe Lincoln.
And the only reason Teddy's on there is because wasn't it his?
It was probably while he was president.
It was while he was president, wasn't it? Yeah.
Who's the other
part of the CCC? Somebody help us.
You don't have to look it up. I guarantee you Peter McNally knows who the fourth person is on Mount Rushmore.
Somebody knows.
He agreed with us on something.
Yeah.
Probably.
No, I think he agreed with Brad Minor.
Probably Veracruz.
Referring to the other LA, or LA as Louisiana, and not the other LA in California anymore.
You hear these tragic stories, but you don't
Hamilton.
hear about
Peter McNally says Hamilton.
Hamilton, he was a slave owner. You don't hear about the tens of millions, literally tens of millions of people who have had COVID and are asymptomatic. I can't lie to you. I still get a little bit short of breath doing certain things. And so what? Right? You break your ankle every now and then, it's going to swell. Okay, you don't quit wearing shoes over it. Come on, people.
I had pneumonia in 10th grade, and until I moved here, and it still flares up every once in a while, I could almost set my calendar by it that here was going to be my yearly battle with bronchitis.
Right.
Never had it at all until the pneumonia set in. And then and my doctor even then said, yep, that's probably what you're going to deal with because you had pneumonia.
Adam Daughtry coming in with some hot linguistic lessons. Capital L, little a with a period is Louisiana. L.A. is Los Angeles.
All L.A. Thank you.
I like that.
Adam Daughtry. So
Hall of Famer showing up early because he has a New Year's resolution. Ralph Salazar just walked into the green room. He's already drinking.
Speaking of New Year's resolutions, the gym next to us, they were parked on the street this morning. That'll last about another 6 weeks.
There's nothing worse. We work out with Michael Pena over at Pure Fitness. There's just going to be fat people everywhere, keeping fat people like me from working out. Folks, you want to have a fat party, PHAT, reach out to the Gray Barn. Cheryl will come out, 920-6803. 6803! 920. She will come in, visit with you about your ideas about your party.
She'll look at your venue, talk to you, and make your vision become reality.
The great thing to do with Cheryl is to have her over to your home, and she can find, like if you're going to do a wedding or a reception, she can find things in your home that remind you and your guest of that special person. That's what's cool. She's just got, I guess empathy is the word, but she has empathy with the decorator's eye. 920-6803, practically free. Went services, went electrical, went solar, went generators, went off last year. They've been busy, folks. Sold more Generac generators than anybody. Anybody. Reach out to them.
Spun off a whole generator subset.
You can say what you want. We're 5 months from storm season. Laugh it off if you want. Hurricanes come every year. Seems like more and more every year.
James Kerr said the 90s called they want their fat catchphrase back.
There you go. James Kerr, Mr. Hip, Mr. Hip Hop.
Look at the testimonial from former county tax assessor collector Rena Scherer. Says Cheryl, yes, Cheryl does awesome work.
Yes, yeah, what a beautiful venue she helped create for Rena. By the way, I just love, it's not even a promotion, but I just love Club Westerner. Something about Club Westerner, same feeling I get at Schrader Hall. You just walk in and you feel like this is Texas. This is a beautiful place. Yeah.
You can make, USA Concrete Coatings can make your drab slab a beautiful place as well.
Drab slab. If you've got drab slab, reach out to Charlie Garcia at 578-HOME. Come out, they'll fill the cracks. First of all, if your house needs to be leveled, they'll level it. But then they'll fill the cracks, sand it down, clean it, put on a tough polyurethane finish, better than epoxy. They'll put that on there. They can put down different flecks. Like if you want, silver and blue to make it a cowboy man cave in your garage, that'll do it. So I'm going to change it when they win a championship. It's durable. It'll be there forever. Reach out to Charlie and his group. And even though we haven't been confirmed yet that they're going to come back, we tried to help budget blinds, the UPS store, as much as we could during the holidays. Folks, it's still a great day to reach out and get some new window accoutrement. Reach out and get Levolor,
Hunter Douglas,
Kevlar, whatever kind of blinds you want. They've got them.
Bob Constantine says the Great Barn had a wonderful showing yesterday at Spring Creek Place.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks, Bob.
They had there was a spring bridal fair there yesterday. Bob was there.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. So one last shot on the COVID thing, and this was
a Limo King,
state senator from Minnesota, who also happens to be a doctor. So the availability of money for healthcare could be affecting the official COVID-19 death rate. He says when the Department of Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention decided to change the rules that have been in place for almost 2 decades by encouraging diagnosis of COVID-19 in situations that were never would have otherwise, they were abandoning their long-held commitment to precisely identifying the inciting or the initiating event that would lead to a sequence of events that would lead to a person's demise. What we saw subsequently was enhanced payments to hospitals for Medicare patients, and then we saw the CARES dollars being distributed. He said it's the old adage of follow the money, that if somehow hospitals could hit 161 admissions with COVID-19, they would be eligible for a $77,000 per admission payment through the through the CARES Act. And he says, I don't think there's any question that perverse incentives have been created. This is a state senator from Minnesota. Minnesota, eh? Who's also a doctor, questioning his brothers and sisters in the medical community and whether or not the CARES Act has had some unintended consequences of numbers being skyrocketed for financial gain.
$12,400,000 in the form of governmental cash distributed. We heard that about, do you get, wasn't it like 30-something thousand? And nobody ever disputed that. Oh, well, yeah, we do get that. So if a guy comes in, he's lopped off his leg with a chainsaw, but he tests positive. That's a COVID admission. And if that guy happens to bleed to death, well, by golly, that's a COVID death. And if you don't think that's the government at their very worst, you're just naive. I mean, I'm telling you, the government, Rahm Emanuel said, never let a good crisis go to waste. I promise you. I'll tell you something else. You think about this for what it's worth. If COVID hadn't happened, Donald Trump wins in a landslide. In a landslide without COVID.
Economy was blowing and going. Unemployment across all socioeconomic and ethnic demographics was at its lowest ever.
And people would have had to vote in person. You wouldn't have had all these scandals and all this reality that there's no getting around. The integrity of our election process has been compromised, probably by both parties. The government is dirty, and the only way that we, the people, can control that is through our vote.
And it wasn't just, I mean, it's not just Democrats that were mailing it in, but it's interesting. The only story the media runs with was the one guy who voted for Trump mailing in a ballot for his dead mother or grandmother or something like that, right?
That one guy.
Yeah. That's the only story CNN ran. But then they'll go and say, well, voter fraud isn't real. You just ran a story saying it was.
Is there a lounge back in the back of this place?
There must be.
I mean, I just saw there's like 4 or 5 people back there.
Chris Conner says Dems would have still fixed the election, COVID or not. I don't think they would have.
I don't know if they could have.
I don't think they could have.
I think that the World Health Organization, I think Dr. Fauci, these people are all part of the
you wouldn't have had any need for secretaries of state and attorneys general in states to circumvent the legislator in their states with changing of the rules, because those legislators would have been in session and they would have had to vote the changes. And I don't know that it would have happened in some of those states.
James Kerr says what irks him is that everything Biden said he would have done with the COVID crisis, everything is stuff that Trump already did or was doing or tried to do that got blocked by the liberals.
Trump's lack of a response cost him a second term.
You know, I could go with part of that, Pete. I think that Trump's response originally was really to try to calm people. And maybe that was a mistake, honestly. I don't disagree with your point there, because Trump, I remember we've got this under control. It's totally.
It's going to go away in April.
It's when it gets 80 degrees, life will be great. But the bottom line is, he could have just said, folks, it's this year's strain of the flu, deal with it. I could have gone with that. But I agree with you, Peter. Good morning, Wade and Carter, trying to help out. Hello.
Hello, Wade and Carter.
Got a birthday wish?
Good morning.
Yeah, all right, they're gone. Try again. I guess have a rolling point.
But
see, James Kerr says, what's wrong with staying calm during a crisis? Absolutely nothing if behind the scenes you're working like a little hamster on a wheel to try to solve the problem. Now, the results would show that President Trump was doing so. I mean, this warp speed deal, as corny as it sounded, and to me, it's kind of pandering. It's like, you people are stupid, so I'm going to call it Mach 5, the powerful Mach 5.
That's not fast enough, so we're going to go to warp speed.
We're going to make it I think in that way, he should have just said Operation Emergency Response. That would have been nice. But he turned around and called it warp speed. But guess what? We've got a vaccine here.
Yeah, but it's the one thing the media never made fun of him about.
Well, the media is that simple. Yeah. Oh, it's warp speed. He's serious. Wow. But I think that he did do a lot.
But let's be honest, we're not even. And here's how the narrative shifts again. Remember, don't give the president too much credit for cutting all the red tape and allowing vaccines to be invented, implemented, tested within 11 months.
Less than that.
Less than that. 9 months.
Yeah, less than that.
That they're rolling them out. Now they're critical that only 4 million people around the country have been vaccinated.
Right.
Because
you know why there's not that big a rush? Because everybody who knows.
Well, and they're saying, well, if more people, because what was the goal? Like 20 million by the end of the year, supposedly was supposed to be vaccinated, which, I mean.
And that is Trump's personal fault.
His own personal fault. But here's the thing, it's a 3-week vaccination. How many lives could have been saved? Well, if you got to take your shots 3 weeks apart and you already had it, and vaccines always take time to become effective, probably none. Yeah.
None. And honestly, except for the fact that the media has stirred this into a big old mess of potato salad, it's just not that big a deal. We freaked out over nothing. Oh, I've got symptoms. I've got it. I've got the COVID. Ah! Okay. Well, I'm back at work now. People die every year. The same 2.5 million people died in 2020 as died in 2019. Same.
Well, the lockdowns had
same
some
number of
effect
people.
because I bet you we're going to see fewer automobile deaths.
Oh yeah, but you're seeing more
Yeah,
suicides.
no, we are. NOD deaths.
Yeah. And nobody seems to really care about those folks.
No. But the narrative keeps shifting. As we pointed out and has sort of been the theme of today's show. You watch how they keep spinning this stuff to massage it and manage it so it looks like they know what the hell they're doing, and
Yes.
anything they can do to paint the Republicans as bad.
Yes. James Curtis makes a great point. No, H.R. Mallory makes a better point. That Donald Trump is a threat to the political class, to the swamp. Both sides want him gone. You can bet that there's a lot of truth in that. They want things to get back to normal in Washington. And nobody, after 47 years of mediocrity, is more equipped to get Washington back to normal than Joe Biden. I think that's a statement of absolute truth.
Absolute truth.
Nobody in Washington is better equipped to get Washington back to the same old Washington.
Swampy mess that
And
it's
I
been.
hope that when the FBI is done with their stuff, I hope they bury Barack Obama underneath the prison for all the atrocities that he's been.
It won't happen, and neither will anything happen with Hunter Biden. It's just not going to.
You haven't heard a word out of Hillary Clinton in months.
Because she doesn't. She'll get an appointment somewhere. You watch when this is all said and done.
You wait till Jeff Epstein I guess he's not going to testify.
Yeah. Thought it was interesting over the break that John Kerry,
she's still hanging out with the founders.
Absolutely denied having any knowledge of Hunter Biden getting the $1.5 billion from the Chinese investors for his company as Secretary of State, who probably knows almost if he doesn't, his department knows everything that's going on in China concerning American citizens.
He's a liar.
Or at least American business. Well, it turns out he was a liar.
Of course.
Because he was involved in emails and correspondence that, as Secretary of State, that he knew what was going on.
Sure.
But the media is not going to call him up.
No.
Speaking of changing narratives, college football didn't do much to keep their narrative of the 4 teams that belonged in the playoff, at least if you're a Texas A&M fan.
No, I thought the Aggies,
I don't think they deserve to be there, looking at how they barely got past a North Carolina team.
No,
but Alabama didn't deserve. I mean, Notre Dame didn't deserve to be there either, and you might argue Clemson didn't either.
But here's the difference. I believe that if Alabama played either Notre Dame or A&M 5 times each, Alabama wins 9 of those games. 9 out of 10 against A&M and Notre Dame. I believe that Alabama in a 1-game could beat the all-star team of Notre Dame and A&M. What, should we keep Kellen Mond at quarterback? We would definitely have that A-Chain kid. I don't know why we had him on the bench. I'd put that kid in there. And then I'd keep
nice run, but let's not forget the sloppy tackling allowed him to bounce off a guy who didn't really try to wrap up.
I keep A&M's offensive line. What a great bunch of maroon goons they are. They're great players. But the bottom line is Alabama beats them 9 out of 10. I'll tell you, if you go over there and let Clemson, 10 out of 10, right? I'm just trying to be humble.
I know.
Trying to be nice. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Alabama beats A&M and Notre Dame every time they tee it up. However, Clemson and Ohio State, 60-40, 50-50. Maybe Clemson 7 times out of 10. Maybe Ohio State 7 times out of 10. But that narrative's a lot. That's on any given day. Clemson, there isn't arguable. Certainly they deserved to be in the playoff. Ohio State clearly showed they deserved to be in the playoff. By any definition, Ohio State laid the wood to Clemson. So those that were saying Ohio State they didn't play anybody. But here's the Aggies. The Aggies needed to go out and drop the hammer on North Carolina.
To continue to fuel the debate that they should have been there ahead of Notre Dame.
So if A&M goes out and beats UNC 56-3, then you can put an asterisk by their name and say, hey, that's the team that should have been in the playoffs. Notre Dame lost a couple of games and yada, yada. You can do all that. But now you can't say that because you were losing in the third quarter. And
let's be honest, you run a play off tackle left,
should have been tackled.
should have been tackled.
Yeah.
You're not running that play to bust it 76 yards
No.
for the go-ahead touchdown with 3 minutes and change left.
Just had a great athlete. The A-Chain kid, Devin A-Chain, is just going to be phenomenal.
And some good blocking.
Yeah, well, and Spiller, who I like a lot, is coming back. See, I'm not an anti-A&M football fan. The Spiller kid, I think, hurt his ankle and was out. Great player. He's coming back. The Aggies could be loaded next year. I don't know who's going to play quarterback. They think.
Chris Conrad points out A&M lost to Alabama this year with a nearly identical score to Notre Dame.
Correct. They both lost by 28, and at the end of the day, or whatever it was, Aggies. At the end of the day, A&M had already proven that they didn't belong on the same field with Alabama. So that's another reason the committee left them out. But now, given what happened, the Aggies will probably finish fourth in the country. I think Notre Dame will drop behind them, mostly to shut them up. And so what? The gap between 1, 2, and 3 and everybody else is an abyss. So Alabama, 7-point favorite going into this next weekend over Ohio State. I think that's a game Alabama wins 8 out of 10. And I think they win this week too.
Heisman will be doled out tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it'll probably go to that Devontae, the receiver. I'm sorry. What's his name?
Yeah. I know the voting has already happened. The Trask kid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He just kind of got exposed a
little bit. But so you could argue Trevor Lawrence did too.
Yeah. Of course, Lawrence is a no-brainer first pick. Devontae, no, not Devontae Mack. That's not his name.
I can't remember now. But
hats off to Mack Brown, by the way. Hats off to Mack Brown for putting together an entertaining program. They played the Aggies tough.
Devontae Smith, thank you.
Devontae Smith, thank you. And Devontae Smith is a player along the lines of Jerry Rice. I mean, he's just a great player.
Real quick, Tom Herman out at University of Texas. Steve Sarkisian in.
Right.
Hey,
I don't know. Sark after dark, baby. They talk about Sark after dark. He's had some demons in his past, but apparently is clean and sober. I mean, it is what it is. I always wonder Richard King says in Texas will win a national championship next year. And Richard King is clearly being sarcastic, and I agree with him. I've got a statement for you that I'll stand by until I'm proved wrong, which is I'll tell you in a minute. So Tom Herman has 4 winning seasons. Tom Herman wins 4 bowl games. Tom Herman out at Texas. Clearly, Texas has become the Al Davis program. They're like, just win, baby. I want championships.
But here's a guy who's had 2 stints as a head coach in the Pac-12 and never got – and if the Pac-12 is such a dog conference, Sarkisian, as a great coach, should have ran away with that conference with both schools and failed to do so.
Yeah. But, you look back and
Chris Conrad asked, did we get USC Sark or Alabama Sark?
Hopefully Alabama Sark.
Or did you get UW Sark?
Right. I don't think that Texas any longer is going to stand for the guy that goes 8-4 and wins a bowl game. John Paul says, and he's being a little smart. He says Urban is coming, Saban is coming, no, an OC named Sark. I'll tell you,
is that sarcasm?
Yeah, and it is, and I think that it's my Aggie buddy reveling in the fact that, oh yeah, you guys think you're such a big deal, but you can't pull the big guy. Make a note that Saban had no logical reason except that he was financially strapped to leave Alabama. Nobody leaves Alabama to go anywhere, not even Texas A&M. And Urban Meyer
simply just said, a new challenge to win a national championship.
Well, that's an insurmountable challenge. Nick Saban would never go to Texas A&M. Urban Meyer simply said, I'm not going to coach college football again. It's too much work. It's too much travel. It's too much recruiting. He's going to, if he goes to the booth, he'll be in the NFL. I will tell you something that I have said since the day they left to go to the SEC. The Texas Longhorns will play for and win another national championship before Texas A&M wins the SEC outright. The Aggies have yet to finish first in the SEC West, much less.
And on that note, we'll save it till tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye, JP.
Bye, folks.
Not answering, see who it is. You didn't see who that was?
No, I didn't. It wasn't JP, but I didn't see who
It
it was.
wasn't?
No.
Oh, man, that's ours.
Somebody want y'all.
Yeah, she wait for us.
I'm gonna